What's up, Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome back to another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either twitch.tv/MVP-vids or on YouTube. You're watching us at MVP Sports. Like I said, I'm Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, we had ourselves a night last night. We were hanging out with many of the patrons from MVP, watching the NBA draft lottery. The draft order is set, so that means today on the show, we basically have to talk about everything. We talk about what it means, who's the biggest losers, biggest winners, our thoughts from the entire thing.
Losers, clearly.
Clearly biggest losers. But before we get into everything, we also got a little bit of football news at the end of today's show. Most of it is NBA draft to start. Before we get into everything, though, a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, if you are not in this Discord channel, you need to be in the MVP Discord. If you're on YouTube, link down below. If you're in Twitch chat, somebody will do it. Someone's just got to do exclamation Discord, and that will give you the link to our Discord channel. It's a great place to talk with all the fans of MVP, patrons, non-patrons, the boys, everybody in the MVP family in one place. If you want to support us, you can at patreon.com/MVPvids. Thank you to our Patreon producers today, Philly Sean and Pat Hill. Today I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say Philly Sean's name first.
Philly Sean playing a dangerous game in Twitch chat right now.
Is he? Is he saying the name that shall not be spoken? A little Voldemort going on?
No. He's just teasing me.
Oh, just okay. He's teasing you. But thank you to our Patreon producers. Also, these will eventually be on podcast services around the world. Thank you guys for your patience on that. And my draft videos, now that the draft is set, starting on Monday, patrons will get to see them first. Everyone else will see them a week after Monday. But my Team Fit videos now can come out because now we know where everyone is picking, and the top of the draft is solidified. No,
it's solidified.
So we can kind of talk about that. But Dave, let's move on into what we're talking about, and it is NBA draft. It's a rock block of draft talk to start the show. Jazz are on my mind because we were talking about that before the show. So I went to say draft, and I was like, ooh, Jazz. But no. Talking about the lottery, then we're talking about individual prospects from a nice Bleacher Report article that you had brought up yesterday and kind of shared in our little rundown sheet. But the order is set. We have all the teams where they'll be picking. T-Wolves are going to be at 1. The Bulls, very excited when we jumped up to 4. But then I think it was Philly Sean that said, wow, imagine being, or was it Jake? Imagine being
it's Sean
in a 3-team draft.
That's what's in Twitch chat as well.
But basically, Dave, what is your biggest takeaway from last night's draft lottery that saw Minnesota, Golden State, Charlotte, and the Bulls all being in the top 4?
My biggest takeaway is I'm happy that other teams are getting up there. I'm sad that Golden State gets rewarded for tanking an entire season. It's mixed. Am I happy the Cat and D'Lo might get a third piece to go with them, or as people have already started conjuring up the D'Lo, Booker, Cat lineups for the Minnesota Timberwolves, which there's no chance that he's being traded. Booker is not going anywhere. Quit it, you crazy Minnesota fans. It's not happening.
But they could pair LaMelo Ball with DeAndre Ayton.
They have no draft. They have no other assets. They had to move assets to get rid of Wiggins. No, it's done. So I think that's fun. Great for them. They get a fun piece. Golden State obviously broken. Charlotte, good for them, but I don't know if they're going to be the team that's going to try to screw this whole thing up. We joke about this being a 3-player draft at the top. And yet there's a lot of conversation about other people who might be taking third instead. So
yeah,
we'll find out. But hey, the biggest thing, Bulls aren't 7.
Bulls are not 7. It's like the tweet that I put in Discord last night from Bulls Talk on Twitter was basically the LeBron clip. Not 7.
Yep.
Not 7.
Not 7.
We're not picking 7.
Just on repeat. Not 7.
To me, yes, I was very excited when I saw the Bulls jump up to the top 4. Am I a little disappointed? am I a little disappointed that the Bulls are not for sure going to get LaMelo Ball? Because even 3, I'd be like, fucking A, we're getting LaMelo Ball. Here's the thing, my Bulls take out of the way.
Sure.
I am still very happy about what happened last night because of what I was saying before the draft. When everyone's like, well, what if we're at 7 or what if we fall down to 8? And I was saying, well, you know what? I trust in our current basketball operations. I trust in our GM to make the right pick. We actually have leadership in place now to do that. And now it's basically the same thing, except we get first pick of everything. We're at 7, there might have been some things off the board. Now it's like, okay, after what we think will be the top 3 are gone.
Yeah, we can still get a best in position type player. Really potentially fun prospects. And who's to say we don't trade? Who's to say?
Because there was down.
That's a great question, but there was some comments made by Arturas Karnisovas, and he did kind of allude to the fact that, hey, I'm going to go for the best player. We're going to evaluate all the options. So I'm looking at this as like, if we want to go get LaMelo Ball, maybe we will go get Melo Ball.
The only thing is, like, what would we have to? Let's say we were going to do
what would we have to give up? Anyone on the team.
No. What I just thought of is, if we're making a trade with Charlotte, do we do what Dallas did? Last year for not last year's draft, but 2 years ago for Luka? We're basically, we'll give you this year's pick and another pick. We'll move up 1. We'll take the guy we want. Because I mean, isn't it? Were they back to back, or was there a pick in between them with Dallas and Atlanta?
No, that was pick between. That was Jaren Jackson Jr.
Okay, that's right. But similar thing where it's like, hey, we're gonna move up a pick or 2 to get the guy we want. And it's funny I say or 2 because the biggest story for me out of this out of this lottery, I should say, is the Warriors being at 2. Because Soapy and I, the week you weren't here, Dave, we discussed a draft story that was coming out of the Bay Area that apparently Golden State really, 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 really likes Anthony Edwards. They think Anthony Edwards could develop into a star-like player and could fit nicely with the team they have in place. And everyone was thinking, well, if they get 1, are they going to try to trade the pick? Should they trade Wiggins in the pick to get a star? The name that the Bay Area reporter that was mentioned throughout was Pascal Siakam. I said, what kind of weed you smoking? Because it sounded like some good shit. Because the Raptors are not trading Pascal Siakam anytime soon.
It's hard to imagine.
But, I mean, with the Warriors, the thing I sit here now is, let's say Minnesota goes with Anthony Edwards. Because, yes, I think there's a case to be made for Wiseman. I think that some could say that, hey, him next to Cat wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. He could add to that team. That would allow Cat to play the 4 and could maybe bounce out a little bit, and you can kind of develop Wiseman as your down low presence. But everyone right now is saying Anthony Edwards to Minnesota seems like the for sure pick. Let's say that's the case. Minnesota gets Edwards. He's putting on the Timberwolves cap. Does that mean Golden State, because their guy is gone, is now in a, let's say 70-30, 80-20, even 90-10 or 100%? Like, we're going to trade Wiggins in the pick so someone else moves in and the Warriors get a star rather than drafting Wiseman or anyone else they want it to?
I don't think there's any pressure on them. I think that they can make the deal on draft night. They can make it ahead of time, or they can wait until partway through the season. I don't think there's any pressure on them to make a pick at any point, because when it comes down to it, like, they have the luxury. If they think LaMelo Ball is the best player, they can take LaMelo Ball at 2. It doesn't matter who you have on the roster. If you think he's the best person, you can groom him to be what you need. He's got great size, great handles. And, that way, if Steph's only playing, 30 minutes a night on minutes, you don't have to burn out anything there, and you can still have somebody who can run an offense. Same thing if you want to go Wiseman. Like, hey, you get yourself your low post guy. They historically haven't spent draft capital at the top of a draft on a a 5 that you can go get some pretty cheap 5s out there to just be rim runners and be passable.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if they went Wiseman there. I don't see him as a generational talent at the 5. So I think that one would be more surprising if he went there. But I don't know. I don't see them doing it with any like, oh no, they took Edwards, because hey, I don't like Edwards at all. So to me, I'm kind of like, good. Somebody took that off your hands. You don't have to make that decision. But I think they got plenty of time to make that call if they want to make a deal. I would love them to move Wiggins and picks. And earlier we were talking about it in the Discord about, hey, what would it look like if the Bulls wanted to move up and the Warriors want to move down, and someone named Beal was available. There's some moves that can be made, and there's contracts out there you can swing. So they've got options, which I think is the best thing for them right now. They can kind of listen to any takers. If it comes out as like a guarantee, much like the DeAndre Ayton draft was set up, where we all knew Phoenix was taking Ayton with 2 weeks before the draft, then they can go ahead and they can plan around that. They can build strategies around moving pieces. We know our asking price. We know what we'll do. Any given person who wants to trade up, we got our situation figured out. But if that doesn't happen and it's wild card up until the last minute, no rush.
I'm going to ask this question. And before I ask this question, I'm going to say it is an asinine question.
Yep.
But I think it's a question that if you're Golden State, like, do I see this trade going through? No. But if you're Golden State, do you at least pick up the phone to see if there's interest? Let's say Milwaukee loses in the they could still lose in the first round, but don't think so. Let's say they lose in the second round to Miami. Let's say there's a little frustration kind of boiling over and a little bit of unrest, because that's what would need to happen. Like, let's say Milwaukee is
Chris Middleton averages horrible shooting splits and is clearly not able to rise to the occasion.
Let's say that they're worried that, okay, Giannis might be walking. Is there any chance the Warriors, I'm not saying it happens, I'm saying picks up the phone and calls and said, we will structure a deal around Wiggins, this pick, and any other fucking picks you want. We have Minnesota's. We have our futures that might not be the best, but we have Minnesota's, which, I mean...
but we have Minnesota.
We have Minnesota's next year's where is Anthony Edwards going to automatically make them a playoff team? Like, they've got picks. They've got Andrew Wiggins, who is a... Do I think he's not on the level of Giannis? That's not even close. But is he at a star level? Maybe at his highest, but right now he hasn't lived up to what his potential should be. Do the Warriors pick up the phone? And is there any way we see maybe like a Giannis level player? I'm not going to say Giannis, just Giannis level player.
Yeah, just a two-time back-to-back MVP, defensive player of the year, best player in no. I mean, come on. But as a GM, am I doing my job? Am I doing my job if I'm not asking that question to the Bucks ownership? You have to. You have to bring the proposal up, regardless of what happens then. If the Bucks win the championship, you still got to ask the question.
Yeah.
You still got to pose the question as the Warriors GM, as anyone in the Warriors front office is like, okay, hypothetically, if we offered you Wiggins and 4 first rounders, and what would you guys say about that? Just hypothetically, that's what you have to do. That's what any good front office would do in this situation. I think they not only, it doesn't just stop at Giannis though. Like I said, Bradley Beal is the one who has said, I want to stay in Washington. Me and John are going to run it back and all this shit. Like, I love the idea of that team doing that. But at the same time, if you're telling me they could swing a deal similar to what I dropped into Discord earlier today with Zach LaVine going to Washington, Andrew Wiggins going to Chicago moves up to the 2, and Washington gets the 4, and like 3 more picks.
Would Golden State drop down to 9?
Golden State would...
They're just forfeiting the pick.
No, it would be the 2, the 4, and a future pick.
Okay.
And Zach LaVine.
Okay.
I think was what I had posted in there. So again, it's just a lot of the stuff. Aaron Gordon's another name. Thanks for tossing out there. Like there's a lot of names out there that are like good players, bordering on top of the league, who may be available. So I think they've got a lot of phone calls to make, and figure out what their value is for each one of these guys that they'd be willing to put out there. But it's a great position to be. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Mm-hmm.
You have the best point guard in the NBA. You've got one of the best two-way wings in the NBA. You've got a great defensive piece what's the ball kicker's names? Draymond.
Yep.
The ball. They've got literally one of the best coaches in basketball. So they're in a fantastic position to compete again in the playoffs, but they do need more. I think 4 years later, you need more firepower than they did initially. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do to reload this year.
And another name I'm just going to basically drive by with this one because it's like, oh, mention it and then move on, is Joel Embiid would be interesting. We've always said, like, the Warriors, the one thing they're missing is a presence down low, depending on what goes on in Philly. Like, let's say Brett Brown's not fired, and then Joel Embiid gets frustrated with that team even more than he is. Like, we've talked about Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. Oh, are they going to be traded or going to have to work?
Yep.
That's one name that, like, as you were listing off others, I'm like, like, Ben Simmons would not be, like, he would work in Golden State, but he wouldn't be the one that they target. In my mind,
I think Ben Simmons actually would be a better fit in Golden State than Joel Embiid. Because, I mean, basically imagine Ben Simmons running a hybrid offense similar to the Bucks, except with even better shooting, better ball handlers, and dynamic people. Like, that would be disgusting. But if you got Joel Embiid also, I can't see Joe leaving. He's so publicly outspoken about how much he loves the city.
Yeah.
He absolutely has made it his home. So it would just be hard for me to see him publicly asking for an out. So I don't know. Crazy thoughts, yes, but I mean, gotta do due diligence.
Last question about the lottery before we look into individual prospects. Sure. Kingy, he's in Twitch chat right now. I see it. It was a horrible night. Dave, we got to talk about the Knicks. And the thing being is just like, here's how I want to spin it. Let's shit on the Knicks, because of course we don't want to do that. But
no.
What kind of hope could we give Knicks fans right now who are probably feeling really, really bad for falling to what? They fell to eighth in the draft. They fell a whole 3 spots from where they were. What would you say to Knicks fans right now?
I would say this is pretty much a wild card year. This is 2013 all over again. Don't think just because you're not in the top 3 that you're not going to get the best player in this draft, because you absolutely could. Like, that's the wild shit about this year. The best player in this draft could come from number 1. It could come from number 21. Like, honestly, it's that open in my mind, and I think there's a lot of guys who will be available come 8. It just comes down to how the draft falls apart and what you're looking for. Tankathon notoriously ribbed the hell out of them for their picks for these teams. They've got Obi Toppin in their current mock right now to the Knicks, yet another power forward. That's exactly what they need to do, is just continue to jam power forwards in that lineup. But, like Halliburton's available on their board, so I would see the Knicks going for someone like Halliburton. If Killian Hayes were to fall, sure, absolutely go with Killian Hayes. Like, there are enough guards up there who you can pair with RJ Barrett to move this team forward. Or if you think that you're going to go ahead and drop cash and get someone like Fred VanVleet and steal him, then build around that and assume, hey, we've got Fred or another point guard coming in free agency. Just wait. We'll rock RJ at the 2. We need to go get ourselves a 3 who doesn't need the ball in his hands. We can go pick up like a Devin Vassell, maybe an Isaac Okoro, like somebody like that. So I think there's complementary pieces there for them. And again, like, I don't think just because you're 8th means you're going to miss out on a potential top 10 in this draft.
The 2 players that I kind of sit at is, for me, if I was making the pick personally, I would sit there and say point guard all day, every day.
You'd force it. You'd reach on BPA. Or you'd reach over BPA for a point guard.
Yes. If I feel like the point guard is going to be a better talent than that. Or it depends. Like,
That's the question at the
like
end of the
if
day.
Obi Toppin's sitting there and you think he's the best player, that would be something where it's like, okay, because there are going to be, like you said, there's going to be guards there. There's point guards in this draft. Like looking at Tankathon, I know they're not the stand all be all, but like after their mock after New York, Halliburton's still available. I mean, after that, you're going far down. Like Cole Anthony for them is at 20, but if he's higher on the Knicks boards, I've seen him in the lottery.
Right.
And like even like Nico Mannion at 24. Some hate him, some don't. Kira Lewis Jr. is rising up on boards. Like there are point guards, and this is a draft where it's not as locked in stone as we've had it in past drafts. But like I look at it, you bring up Okoro, and I was thinking in my mind, Obi Toppin and Isaac Okoro would be Tom Thibodeau picks. And the reason why I think that, and it's going to...
I mean, one of those would be, the other one not so much.
I mean, so the Toppin one is the one you may sit there and go, not so much. Is because the reason why I think that would be a more favorable pick than, I'm not saying than Okoro, but like then just going for a point guard, is because Toppin is an older player. And Tom Thibodeau, as we've seen, like there's a track record. You can see it. That he doesn't trust young players.
He didn't like Chris Dunn, who was a 4-year player.
I mean, but Chris Dunn too, like at that time before he came to the Bulls, like I don't know if it was he just wasn't getting time or it's like he wasn't trusted. And you're right.
Forget how to play basketball after being one of the best basketball players in college.
Tom may just say you're a rookie, you don't play. But Isaac Okoro was the one that I'm like, that'd be a for sure Tom Thibodeau pick. Where it's like
that would be an interesting one, yeah.
You're getting a guy who and it depends on what you think of Kevin Knox and RJ Barrett. Is RJ Barrett gonna develop into what we think he could be? Is Kevin Knox gonna learn how to score the basketball again? Because Kevin Knox showed some flashes as a rookie. Like there were games when his rookie year where it was like, damn, he's good. He's good at basketball. And then this past year happened. It's like, did he forget how to play basketball? Is it just the Knicks in general? But like,
I mean, horrible coaching contributes a lot to that.
Yeah, like
player development
like
is also another big question.
Dave Fizdale, not the best of head coaches.
No.
But if you think they're gonna develop and kind of turn the page under Thibodeau, then why not take a guy who can play not the point guard position and give you defense that you already get from Frank at the point guard position?
Yeah, no, they've got some options there. So I think that going for a versatile wing would be helpful for them in the long run if their point guard available is much lower, because they do have a later pick in the first round, I think, at the very end of the first round. Yeah, 27.
Clippers pick.
Yeah. Yep. So it'll be a while back, but there might be a point guard available there. One of those more senior guards in this draft will probably be available later, whether it is Trey Jones is mocked or whether it is a Cassius Winston. There's a handful of guys in the second round also who I think will be very good guards in the NBA. Whether they're going to be stars, probably not, but I think they'll be above starting level.
So first off, before we move on into the prospects by themselves, I forgot one thing from housekeeping.
What's
one very big thing. Everyone right now, I want you to open up your Twitters. I want you to type in Sean_W_Anderson. Wish Sean a happy birthday, because I found out it was his birthday. I still got to text him in the Wet Boy group because I went to get lunch. After I asked you, I was like, is it his birthday? His Facebook doesn't say. And I haven't talked to Sean in a while. But you're like, yeah, I think that tweet sounds like it's his birthday. So go wish Sean some happy birthday love.
It feels like the right time of year for Sean's birthday.
And he said on my 23rd year, so I'm like, oh, maybe today is his birthday. So wish Sean a happy birthday.
That might be how that works.
But we're now moving into some individual draft prospect talk. And this comes from an article that you actually found, Dave, from Bleacher Report. Jonathan Wasserman wrote an article about just lottery buzz, and it's titled "The Mystery Begins Right at the Top." And we're going to talk about some key points. And the first one we're going to talk about is his point about Patrick Williams. And he writes this: Williams has quietly gained serious steam within NBA front offices. His name has come up multiple times in the sleeper of the draft discussion. One executive admitted to moving him into the top 8 of his rankings, citing Williams being the draft's youngest NCAA prospect with off the charts upside. Another scout floated the idea of when we look back in a few years, we'll question how and why Williams wasn't a top pick more than any other prospect. Dave, your thoughts?
Feels good to be right. Feels fucking good to be right.
Dave's like, maybe I should be a scout.
Shout out to Sean Anderson and myself for riding the Florida State train. You're welcome. Everybody who listened to MVP who got an advance notice on what the scouts are just finding out now. Patrick Williams, Devin Vassell, good at basketball. Very good at basketball. Great team contributions. Great wings out there. Exactly what you want in a young college prospect. Guys who are versatile, guys who have that skill set to not only put the ball on the floor a little bit, but they can take open shots. They can do their role. They're just smart basketball players. So credit to Florida State as a program. But shout out to Sean Anderson.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing that makes him, to me, in the sleeper category is when you're a 6'8", you're listed as a power forward, and you can shoot the three ball. When you have those three things, NBA teams are going to look at you a little bit closer than they may look at someone else, because in this game, the three ball thrives. Like when you have a big at the 4, and sometimes even at the 5, when you've got centers that can spot up.
We'll talk about that next, too.
Basically, these are guys that NBA teams are going to go with, they fit with how the NBA is gone. The NBA is shooting more threes. And this is just something that you and Sean have been talking about Patrick Williams. Basically,
Patrick
the entire...
He's got insane athleticism and thighs the size of my torso. Like, he's got it all.
He's got the Zion... Was it Zion's arms, though, right? These are actual tree trunks. Zion just had fucking huge-ass forearms in those photos. But, yeah, Patrick Williams, to me, it's like, I wonder what team is going to be the one to get him, because like you look at Tankathon, and they're the ones I'm using as a reference. They're kind of lower on him right now. They have him at 14. They don't have him in the top 10.
That's still higher than they had him 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think he was in their right around 20 range.
Is there a team in the top 10 though that you think like they're going to be the ones to pull the trigger? Because I think I got one.
I mean, realistically, my big board and NBA GM's big boards are probably going to look a little different. But if I was a team like... I'm trying to like process of elimination. Okay, top 3 about the same. Like, the Hawks could use him.
Bingo.
Pistons could use him. The Knicks could use him. The Wizards could use him. The Suns would love him. Spurs would love him. Kings... I don't know what the Kings are.
To me, the Hawks were that team where I was like, I got one team. Because
I could see him going as early as the Hawks.
So yesterday, right after the draft with our patrons, we did kind of a, patrons and Twitch chubs, because we were in the watch along channel. But we did kind of a voting of like who's gonna be the pick.
We did a consensus mock on the spot. It was pretty fun actually.
And the thing I disagreed with when we went to Atlanta was, you look at their depth chart, and I know the depth chart I was using, Dave doesn't like Real GM, but with that bias out of the way, because some people may like that website.
That's unfortunate for them.
But the thing I was looking at and what I was trying to say is, I don't care where you put them. It looks like they don't have enough guys that can fit in that power forward spot, that power forward location. Because they had Cam Reddish down there. And
John Collins.
They had John Collins as the center, Dave. I know he's more of a power forward.
Is Clint Capella playing on the bench? Is that their plan?
I think so.
No.
He was injured this year.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why they had him behind, though. It was a depth chart of this, where it's like... And
I can't even right now.
And John Collins is a different discussion for another day, where I feel like because we've talked about...
Clint Capella's their 5.
No. The conversation for another day is, we've talked about trade rumors when it comes to John Collins, and if they're even going to keep him. So for me, the Hawks could be a team that goes, oh, this fucking Patrick Williams kid is good, has sleeper of the draft upside, can shoot the three ball. Let's trade John Collins, take Patrick Williams. He'll fit better with a young core, and he'll be cheaper, freeing up money. Because they just took on Capella. That's where I was going with. Not even where they're playing, just what we have talked about before. The other team was Cleveland, but I don't think Cleveland's going to do it. Cleveland's going to take a point guard because they need a third one, right? They need a third point guard.
They could.
They're going to take Cole Anthony, Dave. Cole Anthony. Reach on Cole Anthony at 5.
Yeah, I don't tell you. John Collins is a 4.
Yes, that's what I said.
DeAndre Hunter also can play the 4 for them. Patrick Williams could play the 4 or could play the 3 at the NBA. I think he's got the speed to keep up with NBA threes out there on the wing. So, not saying he couldn't be on the court at the same time. I'm just saying they've got some interesting options there. Mm-hmm. Cleveland one, I feel like Cleveland needs a different. Like Patrick Williams, he has the ability to do a lot of things, but he's proven that he's above average right now. Mm-hmm. Like he's not a fantastic finisher. He's not a fantastic scorer. He is right now a really good team role player who is put in a situation to not get exposed. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's like the Jaren Jackson Jr. situation where in college we saw enough of him. And like, I know I was big on the train of like, this guy is absolutely electric. He's going to shock the league with the shit he's going to pull. He's legitimately one of the best players in this draft class. And you're like, he doesn't like stand out really. And I'm like, no. It's what you don't see with him. Like when he's on that court with that Michigan team, because Michigan State team, because what he was able to do playing within their system, the defense he was able to apply at certain times, his switchability, like it's the little things in his game that you saw. And you're like, all right, but if he could do that in like a 30-minute play span, like if you take that like moment, you can stretch it out. Like he could be that player if you squint your eyes really hard and pretend a little. And it kind of has the same feel to me for Patrick Williams. I think that he absolutely could be a special player at the next level, but I feel like the Cavs have to hit on something here who has like superstar written on it. I'm with you on that. It feels like they're in a weirdly desperate situation and I feel like they have no pressure at all.
Yeah, and
they're just a bad team.
The reason why, if I was in the front office, I'd be thinking Patrick Williams at 5 is because not just everything you said, but yet again, we're hearing Kevin Love trade rumors. You have a young team. Kevin Love doesn't fit with the timeline of this young team. Why not get someone you can develop to play the similar position that K-Love already plays, and then you can move K-Love and get more picks and build for your young team.
The problem is nobody wants to pay picks to get Kevin Love. They want the Cavs to give them picks to take Kevin. That's why he's still on the team.
Yeah, that's
was because he came out publicly and was an asshole about it. And I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. He had a horrible coach.
Yeah.
He had
You're saying you don't blame Kevin Love.
Correct.
Okay.
He reacted like a child out of frustration, and that's okay. It happens to the best of us because watching those Cavs teams, there are moments when like he clearly was like, you have no clue what you're doing holding that clipboard over there. I'm standing here. I'm telling the players on the court what the plays are because they clearly didn't get it from you, and nobody else picks up on what you're trying to do here. So like, I get the frustration. He was playing on a bad team after competing for championship year in and year out. It's a big change as far as what his role on the team had to be, from being a supporting star to being a mentor and a leader in the locker room. And he clearly did not want to be part of that losing culture. And I understand it. He started off in a horrible culture with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So like he's got experience both ends, but I'm with you. Like he has to rehab his image and his game and show that he can stay healthy in order to be a valuable asset for other teams. But right now in that contract, he's stuck.
Yeah,
he is just stuck.
And Soapy in Twitch chat saying that he thinks Obi Toppin is going to
Obi
the
is a popular
Cavaliers.
Yeah. He's a popular pick. He's someone who can score for them. It's just a question of who's got to get the ball to him because they hate passing.
Yeah, exactly. They need a point guard who doesn't pass. Deni Abdia, though, is what we're going to go on to next. And in this same article, Wasserman writes, Abdia has been viewed as a potential top 5 pick all season, but now it's starting to seem more like a certainty than possibility. Then he talks a lot about Abdia's season this year, but at the end, rather than question Abdia's ceiling, we're looking at a case of teams valuing a player's high floor in a draft loaded with uncertainty. Teams targeting him in the 6 through 10 range will likely have to trade up. So My question with Abdia is, it's kind of a two-part question. The first one is, does a team in the top 3 surprise us and take him over one of our consensus top 3? The second one is the Bulls sitting at 4. You mentioned it at the top of the show where our president of basketball operations, we're going to take the best player. We're going to take the best guy. Meaning trading back is not out of the cards if we think we're still getting the best player. Do you think a team in the top 3 or the Bulls at 4 makes a trade with another team to get Deni Abdia, and that's why he's in the top 3 or the 4th pick?
I think that Deni has all of the reasons all the things you would want in a top 4 pick of this draft class. Like, he has everything that you want. He is a wing who has the ability to move the ball. He can knock down shots. Smart player. He knows how to work in space. Like, literally everything you want out of him, except for the fact that he's European. So his tape, you have to go, well, who was he playing against in that game? Can it compare? What level? And like, there's still that like shroud of like, is he getting the bump from Luka Doncic, or is it just on his own credibility? Like, compared to Mario Hazonia and all this shit out there. It's like, I think the biggest thing is if you strip all that away and just watch him play basketball, he is absolutely worth a top 5 pick in this class.
Yeah.
Now the question of if someone will take him in the top 5 comes down to, I think the Golden State Warriors, it doesn't seem likely, if I'm trying to read their minds, that they would take him. The Charlotte Hornets are an absolute wild card.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what they're going to do.
Well, wasn't there a mock draft in the Discord that was put in the Discord today that had them going, I can't remember what player. They had them going with a player that was not LaMelo Ball, because all I remember is Pat saying they would not do that.
I think they had Obi Toppin.
And I go, I'm just like, shh, Pat, shut up. We want the Bulls want Melo.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, if you're power ranking, I know this is your segment for later, but if you're power ranking Bulls prospects available, like, it starts with LaMelo Ball, and I think 2 is a toss up between whoever you feel is better, between Killian Hayes and Deni Avdija. I think that both are super intriguing Euro prospects, but Deni, I mean, a wing who can be a backup ball handler and shoot and all these things, and has great basketball IQ. It's an incredibly enticing skill set. I don't think you can trade back and get Deni in this class. I think that if we move back to 7, we're settling for somebody else. I think that Deni is pretty much locked in, if not top 4, top 5. Like, I can't see him falling past Cleveland.
Yeah, either the Bulls or Cavs take him, or someone trades up with them.
Exactly.
Because like Philly Sean says the Bulls will take him at 4. The Bulls did take him at 4. I'd be happy with that. Yeah. I feel like most of Bulls Nation expects us to go with Deni. I don't know if it's because of the Arturis connection.
I was gonna say the fact that he's a European, former European player, has scouted in Europe, keeps a close eye on international players, and is notorious for drafting, great European talent. I don't know. Maybe all signs, like, are we just being hit over the head with a pan at this point? Like, he's taking the Euro.
I told you before, I saw the one tweet from Bulls Scripted where it was like, call me crazy, but if we get Giannis and draft Deni and have a starting lineup of, they said, Kobe, Zach, Giannis, Deni at the 4. They're like, could Lowry Markkanen be the 5? And it's like, guys, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I just love bringing that up. But the next one we're going to talk about is a guy we've talked about before. And I just closed the art. I literally was like, I don't need that no more.
We're talking about next,
and I just X'd out of the article I was just in. Shit.
Is it Sadiq Bey?
History? No, I know who it is. It's Anthony Edwards. But I wanted to have it to give the little snippet that Wasserman had, like I did for each one to kind of lead us into it.
That.
But instead of going down, I went, nope, don't need that article no more.
The brain had disconnect from the hand. You're like, oh, what am I doing? Close.
We're talking about Anthony Edwards because apparently Wasserman says he titled it Love and Hate with Georgia's Anthony Edwards. And he says this: every scout seems to have and project Edwards in the top 3, yet no one seems confident that he's the right type of player to build an offense around. I've heard lowest basketball IQ of any potential number 1 overall pick I can remember. One executive called him a top 3 mystery, which is an amusing oxymoron. Another scout questioned why Edwards couldn't win more games on a team that had decent talent. And basically, he closes it with the acknowledgement of Edwards' talent and low confidence in it translating to winning has been fascinating. It also fuels more speculation that teams at the top will look to trade down. I'll take this one first because I know you've got thoughts on this. I'll get my little snippet out first. Is my problem with Anthony Edwards is exactly what was listed, where I don't know if it was a Tom Crean issue, but at the same time I look at it and I go, like, because I thought, okay, maybe it's just how Tom Crean was coaching them, the environment they had in Georgia, but then I thought to myself, Tom Crean had Victor Oladipo.
He had Dwayne Wade.
He had D Wade when he was at Marquette. Like, he had guys that could win games. And if you're going to be a top 3 pick, if you're going to be a number 1 pick, you're going to have to be a guy that can say, I'm going to put the team on my back. And I think that's why the Warriors are high on Anthony Edwards when everyone else seems to not be. Because the Warriors are probably sitting there going, okay, we see the talent that he has. We have a really good coach that is really good at, I don't want to say, like, he can explain things to you in a way that you might not have thought before. He's really good at, like, I don't know how he did it with the Warriors, unlocking their talent. But even like with Kevin Durant, we've seen the little like wired up where he would try to say something to Kevin to get Kevin to think about what was going on differently than how he would. So maybe they're thinking, hey, Steve Kerr can help him with the low basketball IQ. We also have 3 of the best players in the NBA, so we won't have to lean on him. There won't be pressure on him. He can kind of be eased in. But like with me, I kind of have a feeling that Anthony Edwards, if he's drafted number 1 to Minnesota, he's going to be an Anthony Bennett type player, where we've said it before, where I don't think he's going to be Anthony Bennett exactly, where he's not in the league anymore, or he's like with a team, but he's like their 13th player in the rotation.
Really bad.
Yeah. I feel like Anthony Bennett type player for Edwards is he'd be with the T-Wolves for 5 years. He'd get released. He'd go from team to team to team. And that's kind of what I fear with Edwards is he going to be able to make it click at the next level, or will he just be a good bench player for like 3 teams after he's drafted by Minnesota? Because I'm using them because they're at number 1.
I think that's a fair thought. I think you have a couple of really good points there. What I hate to say is that, I think in the past I've said he kind of gives me like a Deion Waiters vibe, almost, like a budget Andrew Wiggins. And that's why he scares the hell out of me at the top of that draft. Yeah. You look at the shots he took at Georgia, and he clearly does not give a shit about winning basketball at that point. Yeah. He was totally, I think I heard somebody refer to it as AAU mode. It's one-on-one basketball, and that's all that matters. And it's just like, you're chucking at a terrible rate. That's one of the big reasons why they say low basketball IQ, because they did not really run sets or plays. It was very much that AAU style of whoever the best athlete is can have the ball in their hands and try to make things happen with it. I think that they had talented pieces on that team. I looked at a couple of guys I really liked, but like he just couldn't figure out how to put it together in a way to win a game. The whole like, well, if he doesn't expend all of his energy on offense, then maybe he'd try on defense. Well, the fact he's not trying on defense might be something else. If you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, you also have to take it on the flip side of the fact that maybe he just doesn't care about it. Maybe he's not interested in it. And I don't know if that's to the fact his coach has told him just don't worry about it, Bradley Beal style, or if it's just like it's not sinking in with him that he keeps getting flipped on bad plays and he's a turnstile out there.
And also, I'll just come in with this. It could be the side too of you've been the best everywhere you've been, like up until college. It's like you've reading your natural talent so much to where you haven't had to work on anything, to where it's like I can just step in. Because like with me being a musician, there were kids that would, and I say kids because I was in high school at the time, that would piss me off because they'd be like really good in like junior high. Then they'd come into high school and they'd be like, I don't need to practice. I don't need to do anything. It's like, yeah, you do. Shit gets harder as you get older. And I wonder if it's the same here. When he was in high school, highly touted, going to go to Georgia. Now it's like, ooh, I'm in the top 3 of the NFL draft discussion. I'm probably going to be number 1. It's like you haven't worked on anything because everyone's feeding you. You're the best. You're the best. You're number 1. And it's like at the next level, that shit ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, he's got the body of exactly what you want out of a combo guard. Like he's big, he's strong, he goes hard to the hole. But the fact that it looks like he still hasn't learned how that basketball is a team sport scares the hell out of me. Yeah, as a 19-year-old, you just don't get it yet, and I don't know that he's not in my top 5 as far as the big board is concerned. Because of that, because I don't think he's going to be a winning player. I think that he will be someone who can get stats on bad teams, and then given the opportunity, maybe later in his career, whether it's humbled or whether a coach got through to him or whether he got through to himself, he can grow as a player at that point. But like right now, what I see out of him does not, entice me. I'm not attracted to the idea of this guy being the star of my team.
Yeah. The next player that they bring up that we're going to go into is one that I've put at the bottom of my mocks when we did them for the fast break and primetime podcast was Maryland's Jalen Smith. And it says that Wasserman says he's generating lottery buzz. And he says multiple scouts have Smith graded as a lottery pick. There is a belief that his full skill set was slightly masked at Maryland and that he'll surprise with more offensive versatility in the NBA. He's also getting rave reviews for his professionalism and work ethic. He'll be more into our lottery projections for our next mock draft. And if we look at, like I said, I've got Tankathon up here. They've got Jalen Smith right now at 19. So that's even a little bit higher than we're like, they've had him and even I had him beforehand. But Dave, what team in the lottery, if he's going to go top 14, what team is going to be the one? I say Spurs, just because you talk about work ethic, you talk about professionalism, boom, that's a pop guy. What's a team in the top 14 that you think Jalen Smith would be great here?
Quiet Pop, I had Jalen Smith at 17 prior to the quarantine. You're welcome.
I had him lower. Are you looking at ours right now?
4.0. Yeah, I'm looking at the 4.0.
I had him lower. I know that. Mine was in the 20s. I thought so. I thought I had him at 21, but it was 22.
You had him at 2.
Yeah. So I had him lower.
Yeah. Again, it's just maybe I should be doing this.
Dave quits his job, becomes NBA scout full time.
I like to toot my own horn, but Jalen Smith, there's a reason. He's a versatile big man. He's what, if you close your eyes and say, name the 3 things you want in a big man in the NBA these days, you want someone who can get blocks in the post. He can do that. You want someone who can stretch the floor. He knocks down threes consistently. You want someone who can guard on switches, and he can do that. So like he can go low. He can guard the paint. He can go out to the perimeter a little bit. He's got that good athleticism to his game, and then he can knock down shots. He is everything you want in an NBA level center. He is not limited like these rim runners are. He is not also at the same time. He doesn't show that like I'm a superstar like Jokic, Embiid, Cat factor to his game. But at the same time, like if he does everything really well, there's nothing saying he can't get to that level. It just depends on the team around you. So I absolutely agree. I think a team like the Spurs, I saw it in the comments section, I think the Spurs would be fantastic. I think that there's a bunch of teams who would be really lucky to have a pairing like that. So I don't know how high he goes, though. I mean, they're rumoring, what was the rumor again? It was late teens, or
they're saying late Lotto. Here, let me play
late Lotto. Okay, so yeah.
So they're saying,
I mean, the Kings. Let's just be honest here. You know who needs to draft another center? The fucking King.
Yeah, they're just saying a Lotto pick. So that would be what to me top 14.
Yeah, top 14. And if you look at the end of the lottery, you look at either the Celtics, who could absolutely kill for a center, who has the ability to stretch the floor like he does and score from the outside, but also has the ability and the defensive instincts to shut people down in the paint. Or you pair him next to the worst defender in the NBA.
I was going to say, do the Pelicans do it? I know that they have Jackson Hayes, and Jackson Hayes in the summer league looked defensively good.
He murdered a
against NBA player or against actual NBA vets. Had a rookie season. Even with Hayes being there, do the Pelicans go after Jalen Smith? Because like as you're saying this, I'm like, pair him next to Zion. Zion doesn't have to worry about defense because Jalen Smith can worry about it.
He already doesn't. So that's pretty fucking clear, unfortunately. But no, I think that they absolutely should look to that. That comes down to the fact if they think that Derek Favors is a long-term guy on their team. If they like Favors and they want to keep him going forward, you can maybe go in a different direction. But I think that Jalen Smith would be a fantastic pairing on that New Orleans Pelicans team because it gives you exactly what you want. You can let Zion dominate the paint still offensively because Jalen Smith has that threat from the outside. And if you want to watch Zion dominate paint, having 4 out is the way to do it. You let him run the paint. You let BI / pull up. I mean, it works. Like on paper, that should work. So they absolutely have an opportunity here. And that's, again, if the Spurs have somebody higher on their board, because I think the Spurs would be the other team at the end of the lotto. Pairing him under the tutelage of LaMarcus Aldridge, could you ask for a better mentor? The king of the mid-range?
King of the mid-range. So because of time, the last two we had. So we were going to end with Halliburton and Naismith because those were smaller players on this article. But we're going to talk about those guys in the future anyways. So we'll end with RJ, then do our little 2 non-NBA stories before we move on into games live. So RJ Hampton, last one we have here. It says RJ Hampton falling. Teams don't sound as high on Hampton as they did earlier in the season. When many project a lottery pick, despite his decision to play in the NBL over the NCAA. While his explosiveness for a 6'5" guard always suggested upside, he didn't showcase any signature skills in Australia for scouts to feel confident. I've started to hear late first, early second round grades for teams on Hampton, who combined to shoot 3 of 19 in exhibition games against the Oklahoma City Thunder and Memphis Grizzlies when the New Zealand Breakers visited the United States in October of 2019.
Yeah.
That to me is, I'm not saying like it's crazy as like wrong. It's crazy to believe someone that was a lottery pick when we started this process is going to be a second rounder. And that's where I want to land on this is, what is your odds that he's a second rounder when we get to the draft on October 16th?
5%.
Okay, so 5%. You're thinking late first is where he's going to realistically go.
Check back in our mocks, and I think we always had him floating at the very end of the lotto. Yeah, I had him in 13 and 14, basically. I never loved his game. I never saw him really succeed. It's just always, he's got potential. He's got the right size, athleticism, frame.
Where did I have him? Did I have him
a little higher?
To 10?
You had him at 9 in the 4.0, and I think you had him a smidge higher. You had him at 7 in the 3.0.
Yeah.
So,
but yet again, I like Nico Mannion. When I was watching RJ's tape before the NBL, I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, his high school mixtape. Yeah. So it's a mixtape, man.
And one. What can he put together at the next level? And
I
don't know if he's a second rounder, but like there's got to be a team, even like I'm thinking 20 to 30, even if it's in that range, that would be like, hey, we can get something out of RJ Hampton.
Oklahoma City Thunder. Have you heard of an athletic player not go to the Oklahoma City Thunder? I don't know. It seems like a dream pick, just being a jerk about it. But like, no, I think a lot of teams are going to kick the tires on him. I think he's someone who, if they get the clearance to have workouts, he absolutely has to impress me. Like being an international player, you're already at disadvantage for scouts, and then a shortened season on top of that. Like he was injured actually in his Australian or in the NBL season. So like he needs to come and improve something in those individual workouts and kill those interviews because he is so far behind what, he started off as a top prospect and now we'll see. We'll see. I think that he has the potential to go, but there's a lot of guys later in this draft where it's like, would you want to take him over like a Jamias Ramsey? I don't know. I know what Jamias Ramsey can do for me. I don't know if RJ Hampton can step in and be a successful player right now. I don't know if I need to work on his development for a couple of years because him going to the NBL pushed back his development because he was pushed as a secondary thought on that team,
Well, I mean, even I'm trying to think like even we're like in Tankathon, I was thinking like the Denver Nuggets, who could use a guy where it's like, hey, I'm going to be more of a ball handler that can free Jamal Murray up to not have to do the ball handling, and he can feed different players. But yet again, if Kira Lewis Jr. is there where they have the Nuggets going, I would take Lewis Jr. probably over Hampton at this point. And to close the show, Dave, we got 2 football topics. Yep. The first one's sad, not a little sad. It's some kind of downer news for a guy who's been respected, I know, especially here in Chicago with his time with the team. But according to the Washington football team, here's a statement they made yesterday on Twitter. Coach Ron Rivera was recently diagnosed with, and I apologize if I screw this up, squamous cell carcinoma, SCC. I'm just going to call it SCC from now on.
Yep.
Located in the lymph node and detected from a self-care check. The cancer is an early stage and is considered very treatable and curable, providing a good prognosis for Coach Rivera for a full recovery. Coach Rivera has consulted with leading doctors and an oncology specialist, and is establishing his treatment plan in conjunction with the team's medical staff and his outside physicians. For now, Coach has asked that the team keep things business as usual and remain focused, but a plan B is in place if it is determined that he should take some time off. Coach Rivera wishes to extend his thanks to the team doctors and athletic trainers and all of the healthcare specialists who will be assisting him through his treatment plan. In addition, Coach Rivera wishes to extend his heartfelt thanks to the Snyders, coaches, players, staff, and fans of the Washington football team, as well as his family, and for their love and support during this time. The Washington football team wishes Coach Rivera a speedy recovery, and we will be supporting him every step of the way. Just something that it sucks to see to a good coach, and just on our end, same thing. Hope, Coach, that you're going to get well soon, that this is all in the rearview mirror for you very soon.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the toughest things to hear, and especially someone who, I think the expectations were very high of him being able to step in and kind of be the face of the new way things get done for the Washington football team. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of bad press, deservedly so, and they needed someone who could change the mentality in that locker room and that building and put out better expectations for everybody within it. And I think he was somebody a lot of people are counting on. So hopefully he is able to get through this, get better, get healthy, and best wishes.
And the best thing is they said it's early stages, so hopefully Coach Rivera can get over this and beat it. But Dave, the last thing I'm going to mention, we're going to talk about, it's college football, so you know what we're talking about, right?
Just get out the record player.
Talking about COVID. And today I'm going to be a little heated to end the show. I'm going to take this one to start, Dave, because this report from Adam Rittenberg, title reads, Parents Protest Big Ten Headquarters Want Fall Football Season. A group of parents of Big Ten football players protested outside league headquarters Friday to demand more information about what went into the league's August 11th decision to postpone the fall season. About 25 parents attended the gathering, which was organized by Randy Wade, father of Ohio State defensive back Sean Wade. The group featured mostly parents from Ohio State and Iowa, although Illinois, and I am ashamed to bring Illinois' name up here, Illinois and Wisconsin were also represented. Yep. Many parents wore their sons' jerseys, T-shirts, with team logos. Some carried signs reading, "Let them play," and "We want to play." Dave, how stupid are these parents? I'm not even going to, this is something that I read today, and I'm not even going to contain myself here. How stupid can you be? When I read the part that's like, "We want more information," have you seen what's been going on, people? Have you seen all the information that we've been getting since March? What do you think? What do you think went into their decision? Saving lives. Saving your son's life. But no, apparently you want to throw him to the wolves. Just want to throw him out there. If he dies, who cares? That's what I'm getting from this. These parents should be ashamed of themselves. These conferences are the only ones that are looking out for their sons. And they should be ashamed of themselves. I am irritated and pissed that my favorite team is on this list. Because there's only 4 of the 14 teams that were listed. 4 of them. That says something. Whew, I'm done. I just need to get it off my chest.
Oh, that's totally fair.
It pisses me off to no end.
Yeah. I don't understand anybody who thinks that football is more important than life. Got different priorities, I guess. That's just all it is at the end of the day. So kudos to the people who have decided that we're going to protect our students, we're going to protect our children, and keep everybody safe and healthy. And not having football for a year apparently is a big fucking ask out of people sometimes. But you got to make the tough decision. It's
just like I don't understand, and I will never understand. And I know that it's just like. It's one of those, especially like I said, the part where it's like, "Oh, we want to know when into the decision." Well, we talked to medical professionals. They said COVID bad, as Soapy would say, COVID bad. And we said, yeah, you're right. We should probably not play a football season. So I want to bring that up because it's the next development in the story. It's not the last time we're going to talk about COVID and college football for the rest of this year. But that is going to do it. I'm going to bring it down for the outro. That's going to do it for MVP Sports Live today. I want to thank you guys for mostly draft talk today. Mostly was NBA draft, lottery, prospects, got a little heated.
We forgot Wet Boys, by the way.
Oh, we did. Let's do that right now. Fuck it. I forgot about Wet Boys because I didn't put it on there. Thank you for reminding me. Dave, we'll end with Wet Boys today. Usually we don't end with Wet Boys. This is our kind of players of the day. This one being Friday will be the last thing we close out with. Usually Dave gives a player, I give a player. Patrons at patreon.com give a player as well. MVP vids is how you do that. These are our dampest of dudes, saggest of shooters, moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. Dave, I am going to let you go first. I think I switched them over. We're going to see if I did that. Let's have you give yours first.
You never know. It's embarrassing.
I don't remember.
For my wet boy today, I took the hottest shooter in the bubble right now. This man lives and dies by the 3-point line. His name, you may ask, Duncan Connington. We just taped him back to back in the most horrifying picture I've ever seen. You got to just put it away. Put it away. Pat Connington, I think, was 5 of 8. Duncan Robinson was 7 of 8 from 3. They are special in what they do. They knock down 3-pointers at a deadly rate. Incredible games by both of these players. The Miami Bucks, one hell of a scary team. We'll see that face off probably. Actually, we're probably going to see these guys go head-to-head in a couple games. It's pretty cool. So just absolutely disgusting. But that picture is horrifying. I just can't look
It's off. It's gone. Yep. For myself, I'm going away from the hardwood for today. I've got to go with, so a player gets this, but it's more of a team. Like, he's shouldering it for the team.
Yep.
Because this team has been slamming it recently. And Eric Hosmer gets the wet boy. But the Slam Diego Padres, not San Diego, the Slam Diego Padres. What was it? Now 4 Grand Slams in a row since Tatis Jr.
4 Grand Slams.
Whew, these guys know how to slug it. How to hit the grand salamis.
That's such random luck that to have the bases loaded in the first place doesn't happen every game. But also, and then hit a home run off.
I think they're making a point now. Everyone got mad at Tatis. They're like, we're going to talk to him. It looks like they talked to him. And what they really said was, dude, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to start loading the bases. We're just going to start hitting grand slams. Fuck these people, right?
It's a new strategy.
Like, we're just going to hit grand slams. We ain't going to care how much we're up by. But, yeah, got to give it to Eric Hosmer. And then the patrons, they voted. Someone got snubbed. Shea Gilgeous got snubbed, and that's because Giannis gets a wet boy. Giannis a 28-20 day. Also, AD getting snubbed, but blame me for that one. Blame me for that one.
I'm assuming either you or the patrons will vote AD, so I'm going to do this gimmicky like 50-50 wet boy. And then it turns out AD just doesn't get a wet boy. So I feel a little bad. Yeah. But, you know, Giannis, thank you for carrying the shit out of that Bucks team. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, so those are our wet boys. Now it'll be the end of MVP Sports Live. You can watch it live on Twitch TV /MVP Vids, or you can catch it always on YouTube, MVP Sports, after we are done recording it. Patreon.com /MVP Vids is how you help support the channel. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. Also, join that Discord. Philly Sean beat Soapy to the button, and the Discord link is in the Twitch chat. It's also down below on YouTube. Also, my draft videos will be coming out starting on Patreon this Monday. Want to thank you guys for watching. For those of you on Twitch, Games Live with Soapy and I are coming up next. Dave, I hope it's a great weekend for us. I will see everyone else. We will see everyone else on Monday. Have a good one, guys.